Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Kurt Leavins. Welcome, Kurt.
Hi. That was a frustrating game to watch, eh?
Smiling face today, Kurt.
Man, I'm smiling, but not because I'm happy.
That was, as Wood Guy said online, a dog shit game. Dog shit effort is what he said.
Well put.
That is so accurate. That was a terror. The grade A shots actually were fairly even in the game. The Oilers losing 4-2 to the Islanders. The grade A shots, well, they were 15-14 for the Oilers, but in the subset, Kurt, of the most dangerous shots of the game, the 5-alarm shots, they were 8-4 for the Islanders. And the longer I do this, the more I feel like the real, other than goals, which is obviously the key number, and I never argue against that because people say, what about the goals? Like, yeah, the goals are the only thing that matters. But if you're looking for a stat that matters, it's the highest danger shots that really matter. And 8-4 is a stomping by the Islanders in that regard. And there we have it.
You know, whenever anybody asks me about your grade A shots project, my standard answer is, well, whether you like his data or you don't like his data, I find that it is highly predictive to the outcome of a game.
When you dig down to that number, I think it is.
It rarely lies, right?
Well, that's just like, that's, if you play hockey, you know, like the chances that make the hair stand up on the back of your neck are the chances that matter in hockey.
Yep.
And whoever gets the most of them is usually the better team and usually wins. All right, Kurt. Let's dig in. And 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers. What is your good thing?
Well, my good thing is Stuart Skinner. You know, this is a guy who has come in for a lot of stick from fans in this market over the years, and at times deserved. I don't mean to absolve him of past sins. But you know what? He was good again tonight. And the last thing I wrote in his paragraph in the game grades tonight, I gave Skinner a 6. I thought he had no reasonable opportunity on any of the 3 that went by him. The last thing I wrote was deserved better. And he did. You know what? He was left to his own devices on the Barzal goal after Bouchard coughed that one up. He stopped everything else in the first period that was going to hit the net, including that starfish-like sprawl that just robbed Duclair at the end of the first period. Really good stop on Bo Horvat to open up the second. Robbed him again with the left pad a couple of shifts later. I think that was his best save of the night, was that left pad that darted out on Horvat. The shorty was another Bouchard mistake. That was the 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
Great poke check on Barzal on the PK in the third. Made a really tough save on a deflection. D'Angelo kind of floated one in from the point. It skipped off the ice through traffic. Somehow he found it and corralled it and froze it. And then the 3-2, the winning goal, was a one-timer from the slot. You know, so I think without Stuart Skinner tonight, this game probably wouldn't have been as close as the score suggested that it was. Lots of time this season, I'm sure, to hate on this goaltender, but he was the least of the Oilers' problems tonight.
No, he looked good. I agree. Again, he does seem to be moving well in the net. And, to the Oilers' credit, they didn't allow a lot of seam passes and shots like that, although the winning goal was arguably that, a short seam pass. But on the power play, where that's going to happen now.
Yeah, a little different, yeah.
They did allow breakaway chances, though, tonight, and break-in chances. And we'll get to that in a second. All right, my good thing, I've been critical of the bottom pairing because they've been leaking grade A shots against in the first game. Not tonight. Ty Emberson, in particular, looked like the Ty Emberson who we saw in December of January last year, who we all talked about, had earned a new contract. He got a new contract 2 years at 1.4 or 1.2 million a year. I'll just check as I'm talking. Anyway, he earned a new contract. He deserved that new contract based on that play. But he's got to keep improving. He can't 1.3 million a year. That's what he got over 2 years for 2 years. He's got to keep getting better. The competition is getting better. Alec Regula looks like a really good hockey player. Looks like an NHL player. So if Emberson's going to compete, not get waived, not get traded, which are both possibilities right now, if he doesn't pick it up, he's got to play better. And tonight he did. It's like he made up his mind. I'm gonna go for it. And I feel this is what young players have to do. They can be so tentative and so not bringing their A game because they're afraid to make plays with the puck. They lack confidence, and then I think that sometimes they get to the point where I'm just gonna go for it and play my game. Looked like that's where he was at tonight. He made a really, really nice pass to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on Nugent's goal, where the play came out of the Islanders' end. It was shot out, and he corralled it and immediately looked to go back on the attack, which is like it was an aggressive play. And he made a really excellent cross-ice pass to find Nugent-Hopkins. Nuge went in then and scored an absolutely brilliant shot. What
Just
a shot.
Bullet, hey? Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen Nuge make a better shot than that.
Guess he has a new stick this year.
That's what Louis kept telling us. And it actually looked like the puck came off his stick faster and harder than I've ever seen it before. That was one of the best shots of his career, and a great goal. So Emberson was part of that. He was solid on defense. He was covering off players. He was fast enough. He looked like the guy who earned that contract. So good for him. He needed that game because as Wallman and Regula get healthy, he probably will be sitting. So better that in the coach's mind is a positive impression of him as he goes to the press box. And that may not happen depending on the injury situation. Maybe he'll play this weekend. But again, if he needed to make a statement like, okay, I can play this game at the NHL level, and he did so tonight.
Well, I certainly agree that was his best game of the season by quite a stretch. I thought he was pretty good tonight, and yeah, that pass to Nugent-Hopkins was really nice. As we know, once Jake Wallman is eventually healthy, they're going to have to make some decisions on the blue line, and someone's going to have to get sent out. I understand that the press box was filled with pro scouts in Long Island tonight. So if the Oilers are thinking of trading a defenseman, which tradable defenseman made a positive impact in front of a rink full of scouts tonight? Well, it was probably Ty Emberson.
Yeah, he can be a good player. He wasn't in the playoffs last year. He was a step behind. I think he lost his. It was a different level of play than he was ever used to, and he didn't quite meet probably his own expectations or the teams, and he was taken out quite rightly, and should have been taken out earlier than he was, as I recall our discussions at the time. But he's never really bounced back from that until tonight. He looked like he can play. That was his A game, and yeah, if a lot of scouts saw that, I mean, they all have. I'm sure they all. I know it's important to watch a player live. At the same time, all the GMs can queue up a player's name, and they can see nothing but the player's minutes in a game for the last 10 games. Like all the NHL GMs they can see all his games really easily. So I'm sure there's guys, the GMs are doing that as well because they're not moving around as much as the scouts.
Yeah, but here's where I'll speak up for my buddies in the scouting fraternity. You see things live at a hockey game that you just don't see on tape, and there's a lot of stuff that scouts watch for that they pick up live. And so I think you're correct about tape and film and all that kind of good stuff, but it's still important to be there in person. I think that Regula looks like a more well-rounded NHL defenseman than Emberson does. I think he's got better tools. I think Troy Stetcher is a perfectly fine 7 on a good team. And when Wallman comes back, it makes me wonder if maybe Emberson is the odd man out, which is why I bring up all the scouts with their butts in the chairs tonight.
It'll be an interesting choice. I think Regula is. You don't try to waive him. He will be gobbled up by another team the way he's played and his size, his age. it's early days. He's got to stay healthy, something he hasn't done in the last couple of years. But he looks like a real find for the Oilers. So,
Yep.
So it'll be between Stetcher and Emerson. And I don't know who I would pick, quite honestly. If I had to waive one of them, that would be a really hard choice because Emerson is young. The Oilers are, he's got, maybe if he can keep improving, maybe he's a player for this team in a third pairing role or as the seventh D man, more so than Stetcher. Of course, you can also find that player. So, unless he's actually going to lock in to the third pairing role, beat out Regula at this point, maybe you just stick with the veteran who's probably a slightly better player, Stetcher, at this point than Emerson is. Your bad thing, Kurt.
Oh boy. I don't believe in my personal history of doing game grades at the Cult of Hockey I've ever given anybody a 1 before. But I gave a 1 to Evan Bouchard tonight.
It was terrible. He was so terrible.
I mean, we all know how good of a player Evan Bouchard is. He's one of the elite offensive defensemen in the league. And as we've seen in successive Stanley Cup playoff appearances, he is capable of being a very good defender, right? Mm-hmm. But what a god-awful game he had tonight. I mean, he allowed 5 high-danger chances in the first period alone tonight, just in the first 20 minutes. An early 5-alarmer early in the game that didn't turn anything. Then he just kind of handed it to Matt Barzal, who just went down the ice like lightning and made it 1-0. Then he just lost Bo Horvat on the 2-2. I mean, what was he doing? What was on a play like that? And I don't totally absolve Nugent Hopkins because he did lose the battle along the wall on that play.
I thought he was involved. I thought he made a mistake in there as well, Kurt.
Yeah.
He lost the battle.
Yeah, he did. But at worst, it should be a 1-on-1. And just Bouchard was just out to lunch. You've got to back up when your man takes off like that. You have to back up. You learn that in kids hockey, right? Then he blew the play on the empty net goal. Like, I guess I give the Oilers for credit for just keep putting them out there, but man, everything he touched just burst into flames. And look, I don't take any pleasure doing this. As you know, I've been a defender of Evan Bouchard's for a long time. Even though he frustrates me from time to time, I see the upside. I see the fine skill points that this player possesses. But on a night like tonight, at some point halfway through the third period, at some point you just limit the damage and say, you know what, just have a seat for the rest of the night.
Oh, there was one point in the game where the Oilers had allowed 9 grade A shots, and he had made mistakes on 8 of them. If a defenseman has a bad game, Kurt, he makes a mistake on 2 or 3 grade A shots against. Like, a good game is 0 or 1.
Yeah.
If you make 1 mistake a game on a grade A shot, that's actually a pretty good game for an NHL D-man. If you make 2, that's okay. Just average it out with a few 1s down the road. But 8 on the first 9 shots, it was. I'm laughing because it was for 2 reasons. It was comically bad. Mm. It reminded me so much like I played defense in beer league hockey. So much of the mistakes that we make, are constantly like these incredibly terrible lapses of judgment, where you're the last man back and you try to beat someone with the puck. Like, what? Who does that in the NHL? Like, that was a terrible play.
Yeah.
That was out on Barzal, who just took it off him. That was just horrendous. And then he followed it up with equally bad, like letting people sneak in behind him constantly. Oof. It's like, what is going on?
Just a turnstile. And you know what? I won't call him out by name, but there was a broadcaster out there tonight who was saying, well, Matthias Ekholm didn't help him out much. What was he supposed to do?
Well, Ekholm was to blame on one or like also somewhat to blame on one or two of them.
Was he
But
supposed to like put handcuffs on Matt Barzell so he
not a,
couldn't, steal the puck? Like,
not
come
all
on, get
8 of
real.
them. No, it
Jeez.
was no, come on. And the other reason I'm laughing is like it is early in the season, and he does have a new contract, right? He's got a new. So like before last year, I was a little worried, like maybe things are like I really wanted things to work out for Bouchard in Edmonton because he's a fantastic hockey player. He
Yeah.
is a stone cold killer in the playoffs. Whatever anyone says tonight or about him, you can't take away the most important thing about a hockey player from Evan Bouchard. Under pressure in the playoffs, he is a killer. He is
Yep.
one of the best clutch defensemen I have ever seen in my life.
Yep.
He
Plays
is
his best hockey at the toughest moments.
fantastic. So this is like, okay, he's got a 4-year contract. It was an atrocious kind of game that he has. And so it's not the end of the world. And really the Bouchard debate like was quite heated last year because I think there was questions like probably never in the Oilers' mind, but in some fans' mind whether Bouchard would be back or not. I think the Oilers were always thinking, no, we want him back because they'd seen him play in the playoffs the year before, which is when GMs make up their minds about players is in the playoffs. How they do in that situation, it means everything. Like and I know it's a small sample size and people don't like that necessarily, but that's what they're looking for. Who can help us win the Stanley Cup? And he can help us win the Stanley Cup. So, anyway.
Well, and in the final analysis, we all know that in New Jersey on Saturday afternoon, he is capable of being the best player on the ice.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why, as frustrated as I am with him tonight and as disappointed as I am with the outcome, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater because I've seen this guy at his best against the very best competition. And I'll begrudgingly sit through a few nights of this because I know what I'm going to get in the end.
I think his error was he was kind of the tip of the iceberg on the error of the Oilers tonight. Like they weren't doing two things. You got to move your feet to play NHL. The Oilers were not moving, and you've got to make the simple play. Make the simple pass. Like that when he turned it over to Barzell there early on. He had an easy pass to make, and he just didn't make it. Just make the simple play, move your feet. And the Oilers weren't doing that all night long. They were a team that was a high-skill team that thought they could win a game on high skill. And there's such parity in the NHL that you really can't do that very often, maybe now and then. Okay, my bad thing, Kurt, is the last goal. The last goal. I thought that was a really terrible penalty by Trent Frederick.
Yeah, agreed.
There's been a viral clip of Corey Perry going around from the playoffs. I think it must have been on Oilers Plus, and I'm not sure exactly where it came from, but I think it was from there. And it's after a first period game against Florida when there had been a couple high sticking penalties, maybe both by Kane. And Perry comes in the dressing room and is just screaming at them, keep your freaking fucking stick down. And what is Frederick doing? Louis saying, well, he doesn't want a stick pinned to his body or something like that. Like, no. His stick was up in a dangerous position. It was reckless. It was careless. It was a really bad time to take a penalty. And that's all I can say about it. Terrible penalty. Yep. The goal itself was a bit of a seam pass, which you don't want to see. Matt Savoy, who had been really good on the PK and had a pretty good game, it's possible. Now, Henry could have picked off that pass, or Savoy. I think if Savoy had been reading it better, he would have covered that shooter. He would have, the defenseman was high above on the strong side of the ice where the puck was. Savoy could have cheated over to that slot or moved over to defend that slot shooter a little quicker. It happened very fast, though, I will say that, as it does in the NHL, but that's what you have to do. I don't think you allow that shooter to be wide open. Maybe the defenseman could have read it better. Anyway, it was off his stick and in the net. It was a bang bang play, but you'd like to maybe be on defend that a little bit better as well.
Well, I like your first position the best. They shouldn't have been in that position to begin with, right? And
Yeah.
I dock Trent Frederick a full mark for that, because bad penalty, offensive zone, wrong time of the game. It's just bad 6 ways to sideways, right?
Bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough penalty. Like I'm not even sure like there was necessarily a mistake, but when you're really on your game and sharp on the PK, you can stop that kind of play, and
Yep.
teams do. So it's more of a team effort in that moment. Kurt, what is your number?
My number is 63. 63 is the 5v5 CF for Ty Emberson tonight. You were already talking about his game. I thought both he and Kulak had very good games, and they were two of the top three Oilers leaders with CF 5-on-5 tonight, and high danger chances according to Natural Stat Trick. 3-1 for both Kulak and for Emberson 5-on-5. And you know, on any given night, if you get that out of your third pairing, you're normally going to win a game, right? It's usually the third pairing that gets exposed and cost you, but it was the opposite tonight. So if you get that from your third pairing night in and night out, you're generally going to benefit. And I thought both Emberson and Kulak were good. I noted in my game grades that I thought Kulak really effectively used his speed to close quick on attacking players, and that's his game, right? In the defensive zone, yeah, he's got a good reach and all that, but it's his quickness, it's his ability to be able to get to the man and front that puck quickly, and he did it really well tonight.
He's in an interesting situation with the Oilers, Kulak, because next year they got a whole boatload of players 30 and over, right? They do this year as well, but even next year it's even more. And so this is a team that needs an injection of youth probably next season. And he's not in the top four for sure. There's Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, and Wallman. They're all on long-term contracts. They're all really good players. So unless Ekholm was to get injured or fall off a cliff at some point this year, he's like, I think 32, 31 or 32 next year. I think 32. And they need to get younger. But they do have the money. They probably will have the money if they really want to sign Kulak. Now, I don't know. He could probably get a lot more money in another city, like $1 million a year more or something like that, or another year in a contract if he was to go free agent.
But he's from Stony Plain, right? He probably doesn't want to go anywhere else. And to your earlier point, this is another guy who does nothing but play well in the postseason.
True. That is, Kurt, that is so true. He plays his best hockey in the postseason, unlike Darnell Nurse, for instance, like who's brought his worst hockey. Yeah. And so Kulak has stepped up every time.
Yeah.
So it's a tough spot for him to be in, though, with these big contracts in the top four.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not a fair competition. Other people are locked in and he's not. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do. And it's going to depend a lot on if he plays the lights out again, he'll get a big contract somewhere. Yeah. And he is a really fine hockey player when he brings his A game, and he brought it tonight. Yep. I agree. Connor McDavid, my number is 3. That's the number of grade A shots Connor McDavid has averaged each game this season. And that's significant because in his best season, when he scored, 61 goals, McDavid he averaged 3.1 grade A shots per game. So far it's 3 per game. He had 4 in this game, and he won a breakaway chance. He's yet to score this year. That's just bad luck. He will score. He is getting more grade A shots. But Kurt, the one that got away is the one that's on my mind. And again, I think this is typical of the Oilers' play, although it's more of a bang-bang play, but it's right near the end of the game, 3 or 4 minutes left. The puck bounces to him in the slot. The goalie is wallowing around half off his feet, McDavid has a perfect chance to take a shot, and he doesn't. I don't think he realized he would have taken it. I think if all the factors were there, but he decides to pass to Stetcher, who's twisted around the other way and can't even get a shot off, maybe because of the pass or.
Well, I think he was shocked that it was coming his way. I would be.
Like, and again, like, I don't want to second guess Connor. I'm just, why is he passing? Like, if he sees the goalie off kilter, why didn't he shoot? Maybe he didn't see that, is the only thing I can think, Kurt.
I mean, the puck was rolling a little bit, so I guess I'll grant him that. And like you, I'm a little reluctant to question Connor McDavid just because of the pure skill that the guy possesses.
Yeah.
But I also believe that he's always very aware of what's going on the ice, and he had to know that was Troy Stetcher over there. You know, like, I guess if he's going to pass it out of the slot to somebody and it's to Leon Draisaitl or Zach Hyman, I'm kind of okay with it. It's like, well, if Connor thinks that's the best thing to do, who am I to question him? When he passes it out of the slot to noted goal scorer Troy Stetcher.
Come on, Stetcher got a goal last year.
Yeah.
He's got 12 goals in his NHL career. How many goals did he have?
I saw Connor muttering after that play, and I don't think it was at Troy. I think he was giving himself a talking to, if I'm any good at reading lips at all.
22 goals. He had 3 goals for the Oilers last year. Troy Stetcher. Yeah, it was just he usually doesn't screw up, but he screwed that play up. But it's kind of indicative, unfortunately, because last game they passed up a lot of slot shots too. And he's made up his mind. He's a shooter, right? He's a shooter okay, that's where you shoot.
Right.
Shoot. Yeah.
It's funny when you said 3 was your number. He was also -3 tonight.
Yeah. And he made a mistake, I think, on one of the goals against. Let me just see if I have him tagged or not. Maybe not. No, just on maybe some grade A shots. Anyway, yeah.
In his defense, one of those was an empty net goal. So.
Yeah, that's right. And he wasn't to blame on that.
No.
I think Bouchard was.
Yes, he was. Poor Evan.
Right.
I didn't tell you the last thing I wrote in my paragraph on Bouchard tonight. Burn the tape.
Yeah.
Burn the tape.
Like, what's that? Someone had a cartoon. That great cartoonist on Twitter who makes cartoons about the Oilers. Wendell.
Oh yes, yeah. There's a couple guys out there, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I had one where they, that Men in Black thing that clears your memory.
Yeah, yeah.
They flash that in Bouchard's eyes in the cartoon. I think Bouchard has no problem putting games like this behind him. He's a super calm, self-confident individual, and I'm not worried about him losing confidence from this game. He will bounce back, and he will bounce back well. What I am worried, Kurt, is, like, I really do think he can help Team Canada win a gold medal.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason he wasn't on the team at the Four Nations after his great playoffs was because he had a bunch of games like this early last year. Not this bad, but same idea, 6 or 7 of them. And that kept him off the team because people are skeptical of a defenseman who makes plays like that. But I think the people, and they picked like Colton Parayko, who leaked grade A shots against. That's another story. Picked by his own hometown GM for the team. They'll do it again, though, if Bouchard gives them an excuse. So don't give them an excuse, Evan. Like, make sure you make that team. Team Canada needs you. And they'll pick you if you don't give them any excuses to pick weaker players.
Well, of all the Edmonton Oilers that were in Team Canada camp this summer, I would argue the guy who's been the best so far has been Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
He's been real good.
Yep.
Remember last year, Kurt, we were doubting him?
I know. Never doubt the Nuge.
Well, you know what? He's at that age where some players turn into Kyle Turris at that age.
It's fair. It's absolutely fair. I just think he's such a smart player. And he was a number 1 pick for a reason, right? Those guys,
You know what has impressed me, Kurt, and it happened in the playoffs when he started to play center again. he had Hyman and Kane on his wing. His defensive play as a center has taken a real step up.
Yeah.
He has become an exceptionally good, even strength, 5-on-5 defender in the defensive slot, which is super hard to do in the NHL. But he has gotten there, and he is so valuable to the Oilers now because he can play center. I think he should be their second line center. I really love Draisaitl and McDavid on the top line, and I think once they will start scoring, they got to find the right line mate. Not there yet, but with having Nuge as that second line guy, like if they can, maybe they'll put a couple big wingers like they did in the playoffs with him, and that'll be the ticket for that second line.
Well, as you know, our old buddy Bruce used to compare him to Dave Keon, and I actually think that's a really good comparison. So
I never used to think so because Keon was a really good defensive center, and Nuge had to move away from center to play the wing because he wasn't really getting it done there. So, but now it is. That's Dave Keon. That's how Dave Keon played. So, and Dave Keon was a great hockey player who was part of Stanley Cup winning teams. And there's only 6 teams, mind you, too.
Yeah, well, still.
It's easier to win the cup then. People forget that. Like, you're not a Hall of Famer in the NHL if you don't win a Stanley Cup. Look at all these guys who won all these Stanley Cups. They won the Stanley Cup so much because there was 6 teams. Okay?
Talk about parity, eh?
Just remember that about all these guys who won 4 or 5 Stanley Cups back in the day. There were 6 teams, not 32. Anyway.
When I say this next thing, you can accuse me of being a dog with a bone. Isaac Howard played 8-19 tonight.
I'm not accusing you, Kurt. I think that's an apt comment.
And you know what I'm concerned? I'm concerned that some people think I don't like Ike Howard, and that's not the truth at all. I actually really like him to the point where I really think it would be better for this young man to go and play 18, 19 minutes a night in Bakersfield. It's not because I don't like the player. It's quite the opposite.
Yeah, as long as I get him there in the next month, like in the next few weeks, like he's probably pretty excited being in the NHL. Our friend Ira Cooper was making this point to us offline, like Bakersfield doesn't actually play till the weekend. And so there's no, as long as it happens in the next month before Hyman gets back, I'm good with it. Like he'll have lots of time there, but he's not making an impact. He's not helping the team win. Noah Philp should be in that spot right now.
Yeah.
Seriously, even if it is just 8 minutes a game, it should be going to the bigger, better defensive hockey player.
Yeah.
Probably the better attacker at this point too is Philp. He's just a better player than Howard. And it's time for this, whatever, maybe did they make promises to him? Does that I don't know.
They don't normally actually do that. I know lots of people think that happens. That's not usually the case. I guess I'm with you that is it going to hurt in the short term? Well, maybe not. Well, are you icing the best team you can or not?
No, they should be playing Philp, right?
Yeah.
And Philp, I think, should be on the penalty kill. Like, they should see what they have in Noah Philp. This is one of those situations where you have a player. It's like Tomasek. Philp's 27, Tomasek's 29. The clock's done ticking. We got to know. Let's see, can they play or not? Regula, can he play or not? Play him. Play these guys and see if they can play or not. See if they can replace, Adam Henrique, to me, a step slow in the NHL right now. Maybe not everybody agrees with that. I think you're going to need to replace him as this season goes on. I don't think he's good enough to help you win the Stanley Cup. You got to find someone. Is it going to be Noah Philp, or are you going to have to make a trade? Or Henrique steps up? But you need to know this information, and now is the time to find out. And it is a missed opportunity. That's the urgency. The urgency isn't with Howard. It's with Noah Philp.
Agree.
And it's with David Tomasek.
Or who else?
Yeah.
Look, I could make the case, David, that you put anybody else in that slot that will do something else to help you win a hockey game, and it's probably the better thing to do. They have guys on this roster who, Curtis Lazar can kill penalties for you. Yeah. He's far from the perfect NHL hockey player, but he right now I think he'd have more impact on a game.
And he'll hit. He'll hit,
Yeah.
he'll be physical.
Veteran player. He's smart defensively. He's probably not going to cost you anything. Now, in his fairness, I thought Ike Howard had a couple of good moments tonight. Both he and Savoy on the one forecheck sequence. It was Savoy that drew the penalty, but Howard was a part of that in the attacking zone. I thought he was pretty good on that occasion. But when you only get 12 shifts, that's very few opportunities to show anybody what you can do.
The moment they got Roslovic, his ticket was punched. That was his job, right? Like, if they hadn't signed Roslovic, maybe he could have won it.
Yeah.
Maybe he'd be fighting for that job, but he's not. Roslovic is going to have that job. So they should just move him down. All right, Kurt, next game is Saturday afternoon, and then we have one Sunday afternoon. So,
yep.
All righty.
Busy times.
Talk to you then. All right. Thanks, Kurt. Thanks for talking tonight.
My pleasure.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.